Welcome to Policy on Demand's Week in Review. I'm Todd Metcalf.
What would you tell clients are your takeaways from this week?
My key takeaway for this week is that we are living in an unusually topsy-turvy time in history. The economy is a good example. The markets collapse for days in what scarcely seems to be a search for the bottom. Then they roar back as though the prior few days were somehow a major miscalculation. Their volatility in many ways seemingly untethered from the usual economic cues. In politics, we also see unusual trends with the midterm elections just under 5 weeks away. The president's approval rating is in the low 40s and even lower in some battleground states. Yet Democrats appear to be outpacing typical midterm expectation. The polls are also behaving a bit like the markets. Candidates who are up 1 week are down the next, and directional trends remain hard to identify. The outcome is still a lifetime away in politics, but the current landscape is a little confounding. Then there's the oil market. OPEC has taken the collective decision to reduce production by 2 million barrels per day, which could push gas prices up again, further roiling the midterm election outlook, and could make the cold winter Europeans had been expecting an even harder freeze.
Which question related to policy did you get asked the most, and how did you respond?
The biggest question I got this week, or the most common one, was will Congress find a path forward to pass an end-of-year tax package? While there are a number of important tax items in need of resolution, Section 174, Section 163, bonus depreciation, just to name a few, in addition to the usual expired or expiring provisions, whether Congress can find the will to address them before the end of the year depends ultimately on the outcome of the midterm elections, and frankly, whether both houses and both parties can find enough that each wants to reach an acceptable deal. Like everything else these days, the odds of success seem to change from week to week. This week, I'm a bit more optimistic that Congress will find a path to an end-of-year deal, but just a bit more.
Where should companies focus their attention in the coming week?
Given the current turbulence across the board, it's hard to imagine when the seatbelt sign can safely be turned off. However, taxpayers need to keep making the case to policymakers for urgency on important tax matters like 174, 163J, and others, especially as the threats to economic growth seem to loom large over the horizon. Congress may not always take the most straightforward path, and that may be frustrating at times. But more often than not, it finds a way to land the plane when it needs to.